Today I will show you how to create a harness entirely in SOLIDWORKS schematic and how to route a harness in SOLIDWORKS 3D. Let's start with this example. Here the connectors are inserted as a line diagram symbols. Each component has some parts associated. In the main or base part there are all the connection points. The auxiliary parts exist just as metadata to be added to the BOM. Each wire is connected to the proper terminal. A harness group can be created multi-selecting the objects on the drawing and adding them to the harness group. In the Harness Manager, we can review and modify it. Now we could generate the harness reports. The schematic drawing is used to show the wire and the pin information. The components can be represented by a schematic symbol, a connection label, a line diagram symbol, and on the cabinet layout can be represented by a 2D footprint and again by other connection labels. The connection labels help to complete the drawing automatically, adding further connection details such as origin destination component properties and wire properties. Finally, the harness can be represented in the cabinet layout drawing. The splices are represented by these thread symbols and by the connection labels. The same is for the connectors. The tape is inserted as a manufactured part which has a predefined length. In 2D schematic, the wire lengths should be manually calculated. The same harness can be represented using some tubing, like this example, or through some cables, like this other example. Harness reports can be generated using the default reports available in SOLIDWORKS Electrical, wiring links in harness, or bill of materials harness. All the BOMs are customizable so the user can show all the information they want. Once generated, the reports are shown on the document list. Let's see the integration with SOLIDWORKS 3D. On the line diagram, I insert 3 connectors and I link them with some cables. Once the components, the manufactured parts and the cables are in place in the line diagram, I would have enough information to create my 3D assembly. However, for this project, I decided to create a quick schematic drawing too. I insert the last connector using one symbol per pin configuration. Then, I associate to the same connector one label of mine that shows the origin, destination, and the wire length details. The last step before creating a 3D assembly is to associate all the objects to a harness group. Open the Harness Manager to review the objects. Let's download our connector 3D model. We can download it from the line content or we can just search on internet. If you download through your browser, make sure the file has a suitable format for SOLIDWORKS. To route the part, we must add the connection points. Turning on the electrical routing and the electrical 3D add-ins enables the electrical commands. Through the routing library wizard, we can then add the connection points which reflect the manufactured part terminals. We can then open the electrical project in SOLIDWORKS 3D and associate an existing assembly to my harness project. The next step is to insert the first connector and place it to the right position. Once all the components are in place, we can route the harness. In few seconds, the harness is generated. We can create a 3D routing path to guide the route generation and optimize the design. I regenerate my route using an existing sketch. The final model matches the schematic. Finally, with the route completed, the next step is to create the drawings. The harness drawing tool automates this process, and in few clicks, we have a drawing complete with dimensions, balloons, BOMs, circuit summary, and connector labels. This one is another example of mine. I route the harness and I generate the drawing. Every drawing, if saved in the electrical project folder, can be transferred to the electrical project through the command create a project drawing. The harness is now an electrical schematic, and all the project can be exported to PDF.